to have with you over there at some point. But then again, did you catch that big game yesterday? When I say a big game, I'm talking about a big Mad Lions game. Did you catch that one?
Yeah, no, I did, and pleasantly surprised from what I saw from the Germans. Again, it seems like Searson's finding his spot in this big team, which is, you know, a ton of potential that is being unleashed for the German squad. Like in terms of individual skill, this might be the best iteration of a German team we've had in quite some time. So I'm kind of hoping to see that they, you know, might be able to maintain that going further.
Yeah, but come on. No one's really talking about big anymore, right? Berlin International Gaming, yeah, they're cool and stuff, but have you ever heard of the Mad Lions, Jacob?
Yeah, I've heard about the Mad Lions, and I think they were rather disappointing yesterday, and as Christine said as well a few times, maybe a bit rusty. They have not played a game since they won the Flashpoint final against MIBR, so they had plenty of time to practice, but coming into this one, it didn't look like that was the case, especially their own map look of Nuke. We see it right here. That was simply just not good enough for Mad Lions. So right. I think, as you said, you know, big, they are... It's the same with North, right? They show glimpses, they show they can be good in certain periods, but they never really get up to the level where we expect them to be. But I will say, though, that they are showing me that they're on the right track right now. It's getting better and better. It's been relatively consistent with the online results. They played some smaller tournaments, which they won, and that's okay, that's fine. But they need to step it up another notch if they want to take it all the way to the top.
Well, Mad Lions, North, they all have something in common. It's a big question and question mark, talking point even, within a lot of different regions about just how Denmark is going to fare at the end of all of this, when it all comes together and every team can seemingly figure out which 5 it takes to win for their organization. In fact, let's learn a little bit more about that Danish wonder.
I really do hope that one corner, the device is molly. Hello and goodbye.
Well, somehow the trades have ended up in favor of G2. I thought Nico was going to get more done there. Cadian, he's wiggling and jiggling over in CT. And he's on to another. Go on, Cadian, my son.
I think the reason why Denmark has such a widespread of talented players and teams is because of our lower tier scene in Denmark is like pretty good actually. Like I think we have a lot of players and England leaders as well who has a lot to give, and they can like kind of form the younger players.
Right. We got players for U2, we got Orp in the last round of the half in MSL. He is looking to take these players away. He's done that. Looking like a 6-9 end of half, and MSL will make...
For example, our team, like I have never played with any of these teammates that I have now, Shus and Bubski and all of these, but they have been playing with other in-game leaders in Denmark like Haste or Barry, like probably names you don't really know, but these kind of persons really like help the Danish scene a lot in terms of growing players and learning them the fundamentals.
Taking all his attention away, and he knows someone's there. He gets the kill on Turk and actually falls into the bomb site. There might be a shot at this peeking. Tarek, that's dangerous. 10 seconds left now. And not getting in the second one and taking down Tarek. A ridiculous drop.
That's one of the parts where a lot of other countries maybe lag a little bit because they don't have these kind of persons who can like teach the younger players the fundamentals of the game. And I think that's one of the main reasons to why we are so good in Denmark.
And when he says why they are so good in Denmark, he's talking about Astralis, because there is a massive shadow that's set behind them. Of course, if you are interested in watching the Mad Lions play, you can do that a little bit later, as they're going to be taking on Complexity. But for the time being, I kind of want to look at all of the groups. I'm going to start with the EU, considering that's where we are, but only...
They are not doing good. They are a wounded animal, and they're playing some of the worst Counter-Strike this iteration of Mousesports potentially have ever played. So if I'm picked as a German organization they fight for within that area of the world, then they will lose a lot of stuff. Not only their own pride, but also the fact that they are in a crisis right now. So Mousesports, all pressures on you, big lane. If you win, it's cool. If you lose, well, it's still Mousesports.
And, let's talk to Halvor about losing pride. How does it feel to lose your pride, Halvor?
I mean, I wouldn't know, but, from watching, both you and Jacob, in real life, I can only imagine it's hurtful. It's not an easy thing to go out, go about your day with. And for Mousesports, they are a bit of a wounded animal. And I think for them to lose the big, as Jacob outlines it's obviously the fact that they're obviously decreasing their chances of going through to the playoffs, but they're also kind of losing to the only, I guess, German rival they really have. Even though obviously there's not a lot of German players on the Mousesports team, the organization has always been, the pride of German esports in many ways. So this is a big matchup for them in more ways than just one.
Jacob?
Yeah, it sure is. It sure is. It's hard to put more words on it. I feel like for Mousesports right now, like with Jin, what he said in the interview is that he wants to be more hands-on, right? He wants to be able to touch the players there, as he wants to be able to look them in the eyes and tell them, you gotta get your shit together, basically as it is, right? He doesn't have that option right now, and I think that's a big problem for Mousesports. I think there's two teams who's really suffering under that. That's going to be G2 with Malik. The way he's coaching is very animated. Same goes on for Regin. They don't have that anymore. And then we need to see the mental state of these players. You have him on your screen right here. Rubs, we already talked about him. Well, he's been playing well. Frozen, supposed to be the next big star, not only within Mousesports, but potentially in the world. Hasn't really been playing up to a high level. Voxic had a fantastic 2019 with the AWP, has been nowhere near that level in 2020 so far. And Chris J, he's doing his job, Kerrigan doing his job, but we need that X factor coming in from the Mousesports players, and we haven't seen it enough in 2020.
Now, I do think that you're onto something right there, but Jacob, look me right in my eye right now. Look me right in my eye. And you tell me that this Kerrigan and Ragin project can't be put back on the right path. It can't find the rails that it needs. You tell me that by looking in my eyes.
I can't look in your eyes first and foremost. But second of all, Regin and Kerrigan, look at Kerrigan's history, right? Whenever he goes to a team, he finds success one in the first half year to a year, and then it drops down. It was the same thing in TSM/Astralis, same thing in FaZe. They were doing so well for a year or two, and then drops down. This is the first crisis Mousesports is in, and this is the first time Kerrigan will have to play his way out of it. There's no way that they're going to kick Kerrigan from this lineup. He is Mousesports as it is right now. That being said, though, Kerrigan, he needs to find a way to get out of these slumps, because we saw it in Astralis, we saw it in FaZe Clan.
Oh, we definitely do not want to see the end of Mousesports. I would love to hear what they had to say before that happens, if it were to happen. So perhaps we just check in with them right now.
Last time we played the biggest, back in October. I think by then a lot of stuff happened within the lineups. We were a team going towards top 5 in the world, and Big went through a big change in how they see their lineup with Smooya out, Smooya in, right? So I think it's two different teams and where they are, and right now I feel like Big is coming up again and we're going a little down.
He's been set up for a big spray down here, but he catches the flash himself. First on a hunter, there's 10 seconds remaining.
I think the pressure is on us in all the matches in the group. We are the bigger team, we are supposed to beat these teams, but when it comes to online, it's always different, right? So we need to keep the same focus level as on LAN, or maybe even close to it. It's really hard to keep the same, obviously, when you're not looking at each other and hype each other. And that's why I think it's going to be a tough game against Big, because they are good in the team play aspect, and I think it's going to be a hard game against them.
Yeah, he does make a very good point there about team play, and I want to make a point about team play as well. Before we go any further, I just want to say to you, Jacob, that I've always been one of your biggest fans, and seriously, one of your biggest supporters. I love you, man, and I hope you don't take any of this to heart. But if you did, I hope it didn't sting too bad. Now, let's move a little bit further. We hear from the side of Kerrigan. What's your take on it, Jacob?
I mean, he's spot on. I think he's saying some of the same things as Regin, or at least implying some of the same things. The fact that they're not together, the fact that they're not boot camping, the fact that they don't look each other in the eyes and actually, I think when you look at Kerrigan, when you think about Regin as well as a coach, they thrive well from the energy they can produce into a lineup, and they can't replicate that energy online right now, and that's simply not good enough. Kerrigan, he doesn't want to talk about the fact that he's had a past history with FaZe Clan and Astralis, and that's fair enough, but it's tough for them. It's tough for them.
And it is. And we're going to shift our focus over to the Big Clan because they got a big game coming up. We got a big guy to talk about it. His name's Halvor. He goes by Vendetta. And there are no V's around here for victory just yet for the Big Clan over Mousesports. But is today the day, Halvor?
It very well might be, honestly. Big of our team that again seemingly finding their form, which is not something that could be said for Mousesports. Again, this is the prime time really for them to grab a W and actually take a whole series versus a team that's more or less always had their I guess got the better end of the deal, right? I'm actually a little bit surprised by the fact that Kerrigan so confidently says, yeah, we are just better individuals. And yeah, sure, to an extent they might be a tad bit better, but I think someone like tabseN at his peak level can actually be better than all of the Mousesports players. We've seen that in the past. tabseN has been a phenomenal player when he hits his stride.
That's too much.
No, really. Again,
much.
tabseN at one point was a top 5 player in the world. You'd be hard pressed to actually be able to deny that. So,
I'm gonna deny it.
So wait, but hold on now. Can you deny that, Jacob?
I can deny it. Like tabseN has, and I agree with you. You said it yesterday. How well he's been too good for Big Clan for quite some time, and I think tabseN is potentially a superstar down the line, right? But when you compare him to a guy like Voxic, when you compare him to, I would even go as far as saying Robs when he's
rating Voxic over Robs even, and I don't think there's a universe where that is correct even.
Judging by 2019, I think there's a case to be made that both of them could be switched around back and forth.
And I don't think either of you convinced me to anything. So there's that. I mean, you both lose your own arguments. I don't even know how you did it. It's impressive, guys. It's feats we've never seen around here. Speaking of feat, we're going to take a look at the other side of the table now and hear what they have to say going into this game.
Where before, a little bit harder to play online. I really enjoy playing online as well. It's a little bit of a different feeling because many people tend to peak more, tend to be more aggressive than they should be. Maybe we'll see some of these things also on LAN.
This next kill between the two Turkish players decides so.
Mousesports needs to show that they are a top team again. They are a little bit shaking last few games. They didn't make the playoffs for the Road to Rio, and definitely they need to perform again. And I would say that they need to show us again they best.
And when I said that, I meant that. I'm not sure what you heard, but perhaps we'll leave it at that. Now, moreover, let's talk a little bit about this into a different light. Now, in one corner, Mousesports at the other. Let's begin to focus on what the maps are, though. I think a veto is going to be very crucial here between these two teams, and I think if there was a time to beat up on Mousesports.
Just went through a veto stage that we didn't necessarily fully follow, and again, it didn't necessarily pan out for them. I've never been to a different approach. They actually banned out Nuke yesterday, sure. They played a different team in Complexity who have been pretty proficient on that map, but then picking into it at this stage, again, like a little bit of a surprise, but we do know that they could be a really, really potent team on that specific map.
Yeah.
And tell me, Jacob, is Jacob potent?
Definitely, all day, all night, man. I think when you look at these maps, I think it's going exactly the way you want it to for Mousesports, right? Nuke, it is a great map for them. I think the whole game for Mousesports. Vertigo is not a bad map for Mousesports.
Right in your eyes.
I know, and you can't do that out of physical reasons. Dust 2 is a map I think both teams can be happy for a third map. I think Big Clan showing a little bit too much confidence in the Vertigo on Vertigo if they want to win their own map pick today.
The only thing that has me a little bit iffy is the fact that I would have loved to see Big actually pick Inferno as a decider potentially, and for that reason, I'm actually going to have to lean the way of Mousesports.
Right, and that would make sense. I would ask you guys all to participate in our Twitch vote. You know how this goes. Hashtag Mousesports or hashtag Big Clan, or actually just hashtag Big. You don't have to put the clan behind it. That's where your votes are going to lie. We're going to tally those up. When we come back from the break, we're going to jump into checking out those numbers and moreover, kicking off some more of our own. We got a best of 3 on our hands, and it's a big one. It's a huge one. It's a gargantuous one. It's going to be big, taking on that of Mousesports right here for DreamHack Master Spring 2020, y'all.
Money is the game, power is the aim. City's gonna pay when they got nothing to lose. He's got nothing to lose. Wasn't cheap. He's got nothing to lose. Still got nothing to lose.
Hey, it's me, Lily from AT&T. More reliability?
Oh, also yes.
Better response times?
Definitely.
Are you...
Oh, is that 5G related?